What is up, friends? Takeover peeps, random person coming across this video. However you got here, I'm happy to have you. I'm doing something different today. This probably looks weird. I noticed that the last few videos have had crackling noises and such when I'm wearing them in my ears. Maybe just another week or two or so of this, but I do plan on buying a different mic for making these videos, and then it won't even be an issue. But we're going to deal with this for today. It was a good week for me. It was capped off by a very rainy weekend, but that was actually kind of nice because here's the thing. I feel like I have been doing so much lately, like go, even on the weekends. The weekend before that, pretty much every single day had something. So it was nice to almost be forced to not do anything, and I mostly had to stay indoors. I did go swimming with my kiddo out in the rain, though, which was a lot of fun and played around. But other than that, I lounged on the couch with my family, played games inside. I played some Switch, which was really nice. Yeah, it was rejuvenating. What were you up to this weekend? Oh, I even snuck in a date night with my wife. My daughter had a sleepover at a friend's house in her Girl Scout troop. And I mean, we had to drop her off and then go do something. So we went out to eat. It was awesome. Had a really good bacon cheeseburger and a beer. It was delicious. Question of the day. Are you a morning person or a night owl? I am personally more of a morning person. I kind of like getting going. I like that early morning feeling. Part of that is probably from the fact that I used to be a barista that opened coffee shops, so I had to be awake early. But honestly, even as a teenager, I used to get up early. I didn't sleep in much, which wasn't necessarily good because I don't think I got enough sleep. There was something in me that felt like I needed to get going. Maybe it wasn't a healthy thing. Maybe it was a viewing any sort of rest as lazy, which might be something to work on now that I think about it. But this isn't a therapy session. It is the weekly wrap up. Let's go. Before I hop in, I wanted to tell you about an app that I've been using really quick. It is called Upside, and I'll drop the link in the description below, but it's great. It's awesome because it pulls up local things in your area, and you'll find that there's discounts going on that maybe you didn't even realize that they haven't announced on their pages or anything. I mostly use it for gas, and oftentimes my local places will have between like 9 to 12 cents off a gallon. Which is really nice. I get a lot of money back. So I've been doing this for about a month and a half-ish now, almost 2, and I've gotten just over $10 back at this point. You'll also find that you'll have coffee shops and restaurants in the area that offer cash back just for using the app. It's really simple. You just download the app, log into it, type in your area, or basically use your map. It pulls up things that are offering the cash back deals, and you just click to claim it, and when you're done, you just need to snap a picture of your receipt. And in a few days, you'll get the money back. So I will drop the link in the description there. If you sign up for it through my link, you will get an extra 15 cents per gallon back on your first purchase. Did you hear about the new vanilla ice cream that's coming out lately? The plastic ice cream? That's right, you heard me. It is made from the same elements found in a plastic bottle. Eleanor Ortolani, I'm sorry if I butchered that name, I tried my best. A London-based designer is behind this plastic ice cream. It's using a material that was created by scientists in Scotland to make the first ever ice cream using plastic. The ingredient itself comes when you use a special bacteria and a special enzyme that breaks down the chemical compound found in things such as plastic bottles, and then converts it into a new thing called vanillin. Now, before you run to your local grocery store, Dairy Queen, whatever it is, your Ben & Jerry's, you can't buy this, okay? This is actually only on display as an art installation that's titled Guilty Flavors and is supposed to point out the issues we have with our recycling system. The recycling system cannot keep up with the amount of plastic that we actually produce, and it wants to point our awareness towards that. Plus, the other thing is this hasn't been deemed safe for consumption, but I have to ask, if for some reason they said you could eat it, would you try it? Now for just a little bit of sports news before the actual sports news, did you see that Mr. Beast is signing with the Charlotte Hornets? All right, so he's not suiting up for them and playing, but his brand Feastables, his like snack and food brand, is going to be the sponsors for the Charlotte Hornets, which means that the Feastables logo will be on their jerseys this season. And not only that, but will be on the jerseys of the Hornets G League team and the Hornets Esports NBA 2K team. This is like a first of its kind deal. I don't know that there's ever been, basically an individual that's like content creator that's sponsored a team before. Closest thing I can think of is I think Gary V's V Friends did something in the Big Three, but nothing at the level of the NBA. Now, carrying on with basketball, before we get into football talk, we just had to talk about the fact that Damian Lillard was indeed traded, not to the Miami Heat like we thought, but to the Milwaukee Bucks. I see this going very well for Milwaukee. The fact that Giannis has already won a championship, I mean, they've put good players around him. Brook Lopez is a good player. Chris Middleton's a good player. They've never put a star around Giannis. And now that he's got that alongside with him, I think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to be a team that's very tough to beat this season. And also in the NBA, I love the fact that Jimmy Butler is emo now. Now to week 4 of the NFL. First off, who here watched the Toy Story game? I did. It's something I hope they do again. I like the thought behind it. The execution was a little bit wonky. There were times where they struggled. I mean, all of it is very hard. I couldn't imagine being like the engineers and developers behind this. But, they're tracking to the very second of the NFL game, and I was so impressed. You can look online. There's side-by-side videos. You can see what was happening on ESPN, what was happening on Disney Plus, and see the way they're mapping it. It's amazing, honestly, the fact that they can even do it. But they had a lot of struggles where, like, glitches happened, players disappeared from the field, the football went off somewhere. Camera angles were wonky at first, but steadily they figured it out. I think it's a great concept. I've seen some adults complain about it. It's not for you. It's for your child. It's for your nephew, your niece, the other kid. Like, yes, it can be for adults, but it's not to hit everything an adult wants it to be. If you really wanted the football that bad, just watch the regular game. I myself enjoyed it. I thought it was a great concept. It taught kids facts about football. They explained things well. They didn't act like the viewers were dumb, but they also didn't assume you knew a bunch of vocabulary. It was cool. I liked it. And the Duke Kaboom halftime show, I mean, the regular game didn't give us that. So step 0.1 Disney Plus. As far as the rest of the NFL that wasn't playing in the Toy Story world, Justin Fields actually showed some life. He threw for 325 yards and 4 touchdowns with only 1 interception, but ultimately they didn't win the game. And that's the ultimate problem. They ended up losing a close one, 31-28 to the Denver Broncos. The Miami Dolphins came back down to earth after putting up a whopping 70 points last week. They lost 48-20 to the Buffalo Bills. Another thing that keeps shocking me and many other fantasy owners is the lack of usage of Jahmyr Gibbs for how high they drafted him in Detroit. David Montgomery is still clearly the favorite back. This last week, he ran for 3 touchdowns and 121 yards on 32 carries. Puka Nacua was back at it again. We talked about him a couple weekly wrap-ups ago. He had 9 catches for 163 yards and a TD, and now holds the record for the most receptions through a player's first 4 games with 31 catches. The Vikings squeezed out a much-needed win over the Carolina Panthers, and honestly, if they had lost this game, I would have thought it was time to just blow it all up and try again, because they were nearing a point, and they might still be there, where they just need to figure out what's next at certain positions and have a high draft pick. But they won. And Justin Jefferson said in an interview that he is playing basically like they don't have the record they have. They're still gunning for the whole thing, which I think is really cool. He's a competitor. I think they have it in him to turn it around, but they've got some tough games coming up, and if they go on a losing streak, yikes. In that game, veteran safety Harrison Smith was a favorite of mine. He had 3 sacks, a forced fumble, and 14 tackles. Speaking of sacks, Khalil Mack had an outstanding game, veteran again. He played his butt off and had 6 sacks to go along with 10 tackles and 2 forced fumbles. Congratulations to anyone that might have had him in their IDP league. He was actually just 1 sack away from tying the record with the late, great Derek Thomas. Video game news stuff. This week, I made a personal accomplishment. I finally beat the game SpongeBob The Battle for Bikini Bottom, and I did it live. If you guys were watching the stream, you can still go back and watch it. I'm live every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, by the way, on Twitter/X. We beat the final boss, the robot SpongeBob, and got inside his head and then beat that thing too, blew up his brain or whatever. It was awesome. I was struggling so hard doing that on my own. I ran through it like 15 times, could not do it. Went live on the camera, we knocked it out right away. In actual video game news, Spider-Man 2 is coming out on the PlayStation, exclusively on the PS5 though. Now, I really loved the first Spider-Man that they released on the PS4, and I am replaying that right now and trying to get all the collectibles. I honestly am a nerd, and it's one of the few games I might want to 100%. Then I plan on downloading the DLC stuff. But the new one is coming out this month, I think like the 20th of October. Only on PS5, so I can't play it yet because I'm a 4 guy. It boasts a world twice the size of the first one and a bunch of new suits, so that sounds outstanding. In the meantime, while I wait to get a PlayStation 5, however many years from now, I think I'm going to go back and play some of the Spider-Man games I may have missed in that world from before. You know, there's one on N64 and PlayStation, and there's a bunch of PS3 ones. I don't know if there's any PS2 ones or not. Maybe the movie ones that I have on GameCube, but I'll go back and look. Stuff that slaps. Donuts. I don't have to convince you that they're good. I'll keep this short and sweet. They are just one of the most delicious treats in the world, I think. You guys make fun of me all the time for the unfrosted Pop-Tarts thing, but here's the thing. They actually put... I don't hate frosting. I say this again and again. They actually put good frosting on things like donuts. Even toaster strudels have better frosting. Anyways, I like donuts a lot. All sorts of kinds. My personal favorite are... I like Boston cream donuts. I like apple fritters, old fashioned. I like ones that are filled with lemon. Those are probably my favorites. What are your favorite donuts? Music pick. This one I'm jumping back to a release in 2016 by the artist Black, which is spelled out / stylized as 6LACK. Black is an R&B and hip hop artist, and I'm talking today about his, like I said, 2016 release Free Black. I have several personal favorites on this album. Probably I'd say Worst Luck, X Calling, and Problems. But this is one, again, I say this all the time, but I think you should just sit down and let the whole album play. Because there's a special little thing about this album. This album was being written while he was on his first record deal. And the record company, first of all, record companies can be a huge blessing and can also be a curse. In his case, this was a curse. They were not letting the songs see the light of day. They were not letting them be released. They were holding them back, telling him they couldn't, I don't know if they were telling him they weren't good enough to be released. I don't know if they were telling him they didn't sound the way that they thought they should sound, or if they were just being jerks. But he worked so hard to get out of that record deal so he could release that. So thus the title Free Black. So when you are listening to this, you are literally hearing the effort that an artist put in to get his own songs back to release them to the world when the label was keeping them locked up. The album itself is really moody. It's kind of melancholy. It's drenched in piano and keys, but it's like beautifully dark. It's not like he covers some tough topics. It's not tough all the time. There's plenty of light moments. But it sounds like, to me, it sounds like looking at a starry night sky, but R&B. That's my music pick for the week. Listen to Free Black by the artist Black, once again spelled 6LACK. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for hanging out, friends. You guys are the best. I love you. Peace and love.